Welcome to Meg Talks, the Move with Meg podcast. I'm Megan Kerrigan, and I will be sharing ideas on how you can become a more consistent and confident dancer that understands your body and mind. Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Meg Talks. We are back with Annabelle today for our Mindset Matters Part 6. Woo! Here she is. Woo! And it is, just to let you all know, because I am very, attention seeking. It's my birthday today. It won't be my birthday when this goes out, but it is my birthday today and we are recording this. I wouldn't be anywhere else.
I have sang happy birthday to her, to be fair.
Birthday. Luckily, it wasn't on record because you might all stop listening.
Literally, yeah. Singing is not my strong point.
That's why we're dancers. But this episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about why dance parents also need to work on their mindset. So thinking about this from a parent's perspective rather than from the dancers. And I think this is something that we've sort of evolved into a little bit over the last probably 6 months, really, hasn't it been? Where we've sort of seen a new area that dance parents actually really utilise our services. And we wanted to sort of touch on that a little bit more and to why that's important, really. So what role do you think a dance parent plays then in a dancer's, let's say like a normal week? So no feshes, just a normal dance training week. What role does that parent or guardian play in their dancer's training for the week?
I mean, a big role, depending on how old the dancer is as well, that'll be bigger or less. But still, even if you've got a senior dancer, I still think they do play a big role. Whether that's from taking them to and from dancing, whether that's helping with making sure they're eating healthy, keeping them accountable for different things, being a shoulder to cry on after a tough dance class. Being sort of a sounding board, maybe someone to come to for advice or to gain some perspective, especially if they've not been in the dancing world themselves. They might be able to look at it from a different point of view. Being someone to advocate for you if you need someone to advocate for you, and generally just being there to support you in whatever way that looks, depending on your level and your age, and how much you actually physically require or mentally and emotionally require from them as well.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the key things, isn't it? As a parent, like your role to a dancer is the same as your role to your child in general. If you just look at what your role is to your offspring, to your offspring, to your child, to your dancer, to your school goer, to your, like, how you would deal with them going to school should also be how you deal with them going to dancing. It's like opening that conversation up. It's, like you say, being a soundboard. It's being there to physically sort of like take them and keep them motivated on the days where they probably don't really want to go. There was plenty of those when I was dancing and my mum was like, nope, you're going in the car. As much as I tried, oh, but mum, I've got a sore toe. She's like, in the car, off you go. And without her, that discipline and that dedication probably wouldn't have been as high. And the same way as, I suppose, taking kids to school, I think if we left it down to them, they'd choose probably to have a day off every now and then.
Yeah, I was the opposite. I was in the car saying, Mum, get in the car. I was like, Sandra, come on, we're going to be 5 minutes late.
TikTok.
The thought of being late for dancing would have set me into a meltdown. So, yeah, I was probably the opposite. She was probably hoping for me to want days off.
Yeah, I think my mum was hoping that as well, because it was just go for however many years of her life. But that is the role of the parent, isn't it? And I think we overlook the impact of Irish dancing onto parents actual for like their lives in terms of like the commitment, but then also that impact of that commitment to their mindset. So like there's a few different ways to look at mindset, I suppose. It's like the mindset of how dancing impacts their life as a parent, but then there's also like the mindset of like how you can facilitate better mindset for your dancer too.
Yeah, 100%.
Each of those are equally important because they come together and drop down almost.
Yeah, very impact and influence one another.
Yeah. So thinking about, I suppose, like how being an Irish dance parent can impact your life as a person, where does your brain automatically go with that?
I think this is something that probably most dancers won't have thought of.
Definitely.
They're very good at understanding how dance impacts their life as a person, but probably aren't so great at understanding how that actually impacts their parents. Which actually maybe for some, maybe teenage dancers, this wouldn't be a bad thing to listen to.
Yeah.
Especially this podcast, especially if you are someone who maybe clashes with mum over dancing, or dad or guardian, or whoever it is.
Yeah.
It might be something to consider you might not have done before. But I know, speaking from my personal experience, when I was at my final school, which was 2 hours away from home, and I didn't drive at the time.
Yeah.
So once a week I would go on the train. Once a week, my friend's dad would take us, who, bless him, was a long distance lorry driver. So we'd come home from doing, like, goodness knows, from being in France or something, and then drive us 2 hours to Wolverhampton, which felt like nothing to him, because
Probably.
it felt like nothing to him. But, fair play, shout out to Keith. And then my mum would do the other times as well. And it was little things, like, well, not little things, but like she'd be in work, she works in a school. So she'd be in work from, say, 8 o'clock in the morning till 3 o'clock. And then we'd leave for dancing at 4:30 and wouldn't get home till 11:30 midnight. And then back at work the next day. She was eating dinner at the same time I was at 11:30 midnight every night. And she wasn't getting the same benefits that I did. She was sat upstairs. She couldn't go home. We lived 2 hours away. So she was sat upstairs with the other parents, laughing and joking, and Christmas shopping maybe sometimes. But also, that's a large chunk out of her day where she could be seeing my dad. I've got a twin brother. She could have been spending time with them too, could have been spending time with friends. She had to give up her car once because there wasn't enough room to fit us all in the car to go to dancing. So she used to have a Mini that she loved. She had to give her Mini up because there wasn't enough room in it to take us all to dancing.
Sorry, just remembered something really quite funny. The other day, my dad called my mum out for something when we were talking about driving to Feshes. And my mum and my dad said, your mum actually asked me, my mum drove a lot of people to Feshes, and we'd always pick people up and take them and help everybody. And my mum asked my dad, oh, well, we're going to have to get a 7-seater so that I can take people to the Fesh. And my dad was like, do you actually understand that you're trying to spend more money to help other people get to the Fesh? And she was laughing. She was thinking, and he was like, do you remember that? And she was like, no, I don't remember. But she was laughing. She couldn't stop laughing because she was like, it's so ridiculous, how in the world you get that. She was like, that didn't seem silly to ask. Well, I need more people to the Fesh. Right? You don't need a minibus, Mum. What's that?
She's got a coach.
Yeah. Literally.
But actually, can we buy an aeroplane so we can take everyone to the world?
Yeah, but how funny, and it's funny how you were just saying about giving up the car. I'd kind of forgotten about that, and that just triggered that. It was funny. My dad was laughing. He was like, what? I just used to think, what is going on?
He must have looked at her and been like, you can't be serious.
He was just like, no, Maria, that's ridiculous.
Is it a firm no?
Yeah, a hard no. But
one family with 2 children, yeah, we need a 7-seater.
Well, exactly. But look at that commitment to the bigger world of Irish dancing. That wasn't to do with me being better or getting to different places. That was to do with actually supporting the school and taking dancers from the school to places. So I think that is something that it does give parents, is it gives them a community as well. And as much as we talk about community for dancers, and we love that side of the Gold Club having the members club section where there's a safe community for dancers, we've actually just opened a parents tab within that, because we do think there isn't any safe spaces for parents to ask questions online. I mean, I hate to say the V word, but
don't say that.
That's where it's supposed to be the place where you can ask a question or ask about a timetable. But it's actually such a toxic place, and it's nowhere I would ever advise anybody to go.
No, definitely not. And
so
Facebook group as well.
The Facebook group.
Parents as well. There's 800 and odd parents in there now, 850. Parents and teachers as well. And they're all pretty good at getting involved.
And we get really good questions in there.
Really good questions in there, and other parents answering back. It's not just us answering with advice, which is what
we're not Irish dance parents. So as much as we can facilitate the space and we can help advise you from our perspective, we actually haven't been through it. And so that's where, when we see other parents communicating with each other, Like, I love that because I'm like, oh, I didn't think of it that way myself.
Right, yeah.
That's what it's for. It's not supposed to be us preaching. It's supposed to be like opening the space for safe conversation, safe
space. Yeah, to ask anything from, is anyone going to this fesh, or what's the timetable, or my dancer's struggling with this.
Yeah.
And I love it because we get people commenting from like an American mum helping an Irish mum.
Yeah.
And things like that. And I'm like, I love it when you see things like even across the world connect as well.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know, old school dancing teachers, I know in my dancing school, like sometimes if you asked a question, it could almost be like, oh, well, what a stupid question. Don't be asking me that. I'm too busy as a dancing teacher almost. Like, there's no stupid questions. To, like, let's face it, lots of dancing parents have never, ever entered the Irish dancing world before. So, like, how are they supposed to know? There isn't a manual. There isn't a little book that you get given when you first start Irish dancing. You need these socks. You need this glue. You need all these things. Like, there isn't that. So, like, that is what we're trying to host for parents.
Yeah, you're often relying on a more experienced mum to show you that. That was not often my mum's job in our first school. So she used to sit outside with a little desk and she'd take all the money and do the register. And she'd be like, we'd go into people's first feshes. That used to be like our little role. So you're kind of relying on that. But not every school has that. I had a parent booking for a one-to-one mindset call last week, a parent from Ireland. And she was saying the exact same thing. She was like, our teacher's wonderful. Like, she's really, really lovely. But we're a one-teacher school. She hasn't got time to answer everyone's questions. It would be half of the class time taken up. And she was like, we haven't really got anyone more experienced than we are in the school either. And her dancer was one of the oldest in the school. So they were like in age. So she was a bit like, we didn't really know where to go. So she booked in a one-to-one call with me. And we just went through some of her thoughts and feelings, her worries, her concerns.
I love that.
Some of her dancer's goals and how she can help facilitate that, because I've worked with her dancer one-to-one. So I know her dancer quite well as well.
Yeah.
And then I sent her a big email afterwards with like some of the things we talked about and some links to helpful places and, nice feshes to go to if they want to come over to England to do a fesh. So like recommended some nice ones to go to. And just things like that you would never know unless you asked. And she was like, I'm so glad I booked in for this. She was like, I was so nervous. She said, but like I felt so much better afterwards.
But how incredible is that? Like, us looking at that from an outside perspective, a parent has taken it upon themselves to try to just be better for their dancer. And they haven't like, oh, well, I've tried asking the teacher and they never told us. It's not like, what are they actually already showing their dancer? Like, it's okay to not know. It's okay to go looking for the answer. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to feel silly asking questions. Like, they've literally shown that in their own actions.
Yeah.
And then how much they have got out of it is actually crazy.
And like, don't be afraid to not know something and get curious and research and find out the answer. Take it upon yourself. Take some, a bit of responsibility, which we talk about with dancers all the time.
Yeah.
And we always talk about making responsible dancers and growing responsible dancers for their own actions.
Yeah.
She literally firsthand through her actions was showing her dancer that. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. It was the first time I've been asked, or actually I've been asked before, but it was the first time a parent has actually booked in. And I thought it was actually really, really valuable. So it was brilliant.
Yeah, and I think it's something we've never really spoken about as like this. That's the mindset sessions aren't necessarily just for the dancers, and maybe that is something that we need to sort of like not necessarily promote, but like make people aware that like that is an option. And your mindset, you are the what's the word? This word I always use it and I can't think of it now. Not like a mediator, but the person who like holds the other person's emotions. Regulator. Got there in the end. You are the emotional regulator for your dancer. If your mindset is not necessarily not healthy, but if your mindset is like, let's say 20% unhealthy, that is feeding into your dancer.
Yeah.
Whether that be something you don't even realize is unhealthy or could be better. So like helping yourself to be better then feeds into your dancer, then feeds into their future and their future as a dancer, but their future as a person in general.
100%. And I've had sessions where mum and I only use the word mum because it has been mum before, and the dancer are very, very close. And they've actually come on the session together and learnt together. which is nice as well. That wouldn't work for every dancer. Certainly wouldn't have worked for me. I definitely would have been better left on my own. But for some people, that also works really well as well.
Yeah.
And you don't realise, I don't think parents realise how much the younger dancers are actually aware of how parents and grandparents are feeling, and how much they actually take on the nervous energy. I think they think because they're younger, or
they don't notice.
Yeah, they're not noticing, but actually they are.
Yeah, that's when they're even more of a sponge, isn't it? And less resilient.
I'm working with more and more younger dancers at the moment, which has become quite a theme, I'd say, over the last about 3 months. I've had a big influx of dancers under 8, under 9.
Right.
All with very common themes as well. So it's been really interesting.
Maybe we could speak about that on another episode, like the common themes that you do see in the certain age ranges.
100%.
We could help to support people if they can't get a one-to-one.
Because we've just had a blog go out as well about older dancers who are the role model.
Yeah.
And how actually sometimes that can be hard to navigate as well. There's lots of pros of being the role model.
Yeah.
And also there's lots of times where that can maybe add additional pressure.
Yeah.
And how you deal with that as well, which probably is another little avenue.
Yeah.
In the future.
I'm going to just quickly...
I was going to say, write these down.
I was going to say, I'm quickly making a note of the role model, so we can pop it in the show notes, the link in the show notes. I'll pop the parents' Facebook page down there, and I'll also pop the role model blog down there for you guys to have a little read if you fancy it. But yeah, I think one of the key things that I probably didn't look at when I was a dancer, or you don't think about the fact that like it's your first time as a parent navigating this world. Like, even if you have been a dancer yourself, so like there's a couple of different areas. You could have been a dancer yourself when you were younger. That doesn't mean you have been in the world as it is now. So like,
changed so much just in our time of dancing, and it's changed so much even since from me retiring 3.5 years ago. Even at that time it's changed a lot. So from parents dancing, it's completely different.
So a parent might think, oh, well, I did it this way and that's the right way. But actually, is that the right way in this current time? And then there's also, you've got also parents, also is my favourite word.
Also.
You've got parents that have never been in the Irish dancing world and that are trying to learn. And each of these are learning and growing, and they're going to make mistakes, and they are going to you can't always be perfect as a parent as much as you. And I think now that I'm a step parent, I've sort of really realised this a lot more. It's like, I think you expect that your parent knows best. Your parent knows the plan. They know everything. They're the leader. But actually, sometimes they're a little bit scared and nervous and winging it, and they've never done it before, and they don't know where to go, and they don't know what to do. And that's a bit daunting, I think.
Yeah, when you've got little eyes all looking up at you to make the right decision and guide them. And you yourself, it's like, whoa.
Like, I've noticed it more and more now. Like, even this morning, I dropped Ronnie to nursery for the first time. So he goes there every day. I pulled up on the drive. I've been there to pick him up before, but we're always with Lewis. And I was a bit like, right, what do we do now? Where do we go? Which door do we go to?
Do we go to the same door? Do we go to a different door?
He knew exactly what to do, dragged me out of the car nearly. And the woman opened the door, and I was a bit like a rabbit in the headlights, like, good morning. I just felt nervous. And that's me just doing something new for Ronnie that I hadn't done before. Whereas imagine a parent going into and I'd been there, so imagine a parent going into their first fesh. How daunting that must be.
It must be the most bizarre experience. Going into a school on a Saturday morning, and then you walk in and there's loads of little kids full of tan and curly wigs.
Yeah.
Sparkly dresses. If you've never seen that before, you must be like, what on earth is going on?
Yeah. So I think if you're a dancer listening to this, then maybe appreciate that your parents are just working it out as they go along as well. And yes, they will make mistakes like you do. They're still human. And they're always trying their best. I think that's the key thing. As much as we and I have spoken quite openly, as you know, about things that I wish my mum did a bit different when I was dancing, in terms of handling the pressures that I was under and stuff like that. But I don't doubt for 1 second that she wasn't trying her absolute best. Like, I know that. And that's why it's harder to talk about. Because sometimes even now she thinks, oh, you always say that I did wrong. I'm like, yeah, but I know that you were trying your best. And
your heart was in the right place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you thought, let her cry or don't let her cry. Like, I don't think that at all. And I think that's hard to hear as a parent in the future. So I think the more aware dancers are also that, like, let their parents learn and help them.
Yeah.
You usually know better.
Work together. Like, that's the key to it, is this working together. You're both on the same side.
Yeah.
Like, you're both on the same FESH team. You both want the same outcome. Let's work together and use your knowledge and their knowledge and pool it together.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to just have one person with the responsibility or have one person have all the pressure of trying to make all the decisions.
And also, like, not in the panic of the day. I think that, for me, is one of the key things. I think, like, yes, pull together your information, pull together your knowledge, your experiences as a dancer and a parent. But don't just do that on the morning of the FESH. No. As a parent, like, sit down on the Thursday. Right, you're dancing at this time. I think, and we've spoken about this lots, like, doing that with your dancer. And I know, like, when life is busy, sometimes it's like, oh, I don't get time to do that, and then they're in bed and I just do it. I really get that, but I think it's so important to make that time to sit down and plan that FESH day with them. Yes, you are, number one, helping them to become responsible, helping them to become independent and understanding what goes into it, but also, like, you're giving yourself the confidence as a parent, like, yes, okay, I haven't missed anything, because the dancer will remember things that they need to do that you won't remember because you've never been a dancer, or you didn't have to do those things back when you were dancing, like taping your shoes and that sort of stuff, you know.
And they'll know, oh, well, I think I need half an hour to warm up and mum might have only put down 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Or things like that. You know, you might underestimate things or overestimate things.
Yeah.
The dancer might not know, like, how long the drive is going to be. Whereas mum or dad or grandparents are more likely to know that side of things, or go, well, okay, we're travelling on a Friday, it's probably going to be rush hour. Like, the dancer might not have thought of that. They've Googled it and it says an hour.
Yeah.
You knew more things like that. So, yeah, it's about pooling your knowledge together. And even if that's the Tuesday before the FESH or the Sunday before the FESH, like a week before, doesn't have to be like the night before or anything like that. If that's when your time is, it's more important to do it and do it like a week early than to not do it at all.
100%. And I think you both then go into that FESH, that competition, feeling like
a team.
Yeah, feeling like a team, feeling calmer, feeling ready, more prepared. And each of you is going to actually enjoy the experience so much more. We talk about that all the time, don't we?
Yeah, definitely.
Like, one of our key things that we chat about. Finally then, in terms of, like, a parent's mindset, let's say on the way home from dance class, is there anything, and it's kind of mindset related, but it's also just like actions related, like, is there anything you think they should be doing on the way home from dance class with their dancer, if they are picking them up, or once they get home, or to open a space for the dancer to also work on their mindset?
Yeah, definitely. I think talking about how the dance class was, and, you know, kids are very good at going, yeah, it was good, like they do with school. I was school, yeah, it was fine. And then not actually delving into it, but open that conversation a little bit more. There might be stuff deeper into there that they're actually, you know, still keeping inside, or they might mention something very subtly and go, oh, you know, I didn't do a very good jig, for example. Oh, well, why do you think that was? Or what made you think it wasn't very good? Oh, well, my teacher was, you know, shouted at me or something like that. And there might be something deeper under there. Yeah. And also being aware of how they talk about themselves. I've had parents say this before, I don't think she's realised or he's realised what they're actually saying. But I can hear in their language they're getting down on themselves, and being aware of their self-talk out loud and how they're talking about themselves, and maybe challenging it a little bit and go, well, why do you think that? Or, well, what's the proof? What's the evidence? You know, or how can we make that better at your next class? I always try and get dancers on the way to dancing to set one tiny little goal that they're in charge of. Yeah. And it might be that, you know what, sometimes we have bad dance classes. Like, it happens with human. Sometimes you can tell your legs and they just don't listen. Like, sometimes that happens. We've all been there. But if your one tiny little goal is, well, every time I get on the floor, I'm going to smile and perform like I'm on the stage. If you can come home and say, well, I still did that, even if the dance class maybe wasn't your best, you've still got that little win.
Yeah.
And celebrate it on the way home. And your parents there then as the accountability, because you've got to go back in the car and tell them whether you've done it or not. It also gives that maybe not so great dance class a little positive at the end of it, but it should be a girl that you're in control of.
Yeah.
I think that's a nice way to always start and end dance class as well.
Yeah. And just touching upon like when you said about asking a little bit deeper, like I actually had this epiphany yesterday. So I always ask Lola when she comes home from school, did you have a good day? Yeah. What did you do? I can't remember. And I'm like, that right. It's just a cop out, isn't it? It's like, I actually don't want to tell you. But I had this right yesterday. I'm going full story mode here because I said this to Lewis last night. I was like, I actually can't believe how 1 and 2 came together and I had this epiphany. So on the way to the gym yesterday, this will make sense. I've not lost the plot.
Okay.
On the way to the gym yesterday, I was listening to a podcast that was talking about people don't answer broad questions well. People answer really specific questions. That's when you'll get a better answer out of somebody. So that was just in passing in the middle of a podcast that was talking about loads of different things. I can't even remember what podcast it was. Anyway, then go to the gym. Doing a little bit less than normal. So it was a bit more chatty because I'm racing tomorrow. So it was a little bit like, just get through some movements, do some foam rolling, do a bit of upper body. So we're all a bit chatty. And Rachel, my friend, she's got 4 kids. She said, oh, Molly was at gymnastics. And I said to her, tell me one good thing you did today at gymnastics. And a light bulb went off in my head. And I was like, wow, she does that thing where she asks the specific question. Because if she asked her, how was gymnastics? What did you do? She'd probably go, oh, yeah, it was all right. Can't remember. But because she said, tell me one good thing you've done, it's an easier question to answer because you don't have to like tell everything. You just need to think of one thing and you're excited to tell the one good thing you did.
Yeah.
So it just gave me that little, and I tried it with Lola last night. When I saw her, I said, tell me one good thing you did at school today. And she could not wait to tell me this one thing. And I was like, that is more than I've got out of you than I have every single time I've asked you in the last 6-12 months. So there you go. Evidence for you guys.
There you go.
Meg, the step parent, coming through.
That's a new podcast launching soon. Meg, the step parent.
Step parenting with Meg. But no, I did find that, like, I found it quite fascinating how, like, all those pieces of the jigsaw came together in that one day for me and just clicked.
Yeah,
but I do think, as a parent coming home from dancing, you can use that method of like, tell me one good thing you did at class today. Yeah. And it is like, it's opening with a positive. It's not like, how was class? Oh, well, the teacher was shouting at me. Tell me one good thing you did at class.
And you did.
Yeah.
That they've done. Not that, oh, well, my teacher said my reel was nice. No. Tell me why. Did you think your reel was nice? Did you agree with them? And I was like, well, why was it nice? I always say this to dancers. What was, tell me something that was good about the fesh. 3 things that were good about the fesh. I did a good set dance. Well, what made your set dance good?
Yeah.
Why in particular that day was it good? Well, it was really sharp. I'm like, right, okay, there we go.
So now we're deeper into it.
Now we're getting a bit deeper. Now we're thinking about it a little bit more. And using that, tell me one good thing you did. And then it's always putting the responsibility back on them and every day it's giving them that little sense of, even on bad dance classes, you've still done something well.
Yeah.
Give yourself the pat on the back and the round of applause.
Yeah. I love it. And it's just a really easy way for you to get a bit of a picture as well on the way home of what's going on, because you at the end of the day, we drop the kids off and we go and sit outside, or we wait, or we go home, and then we come back and it's like, okay, what did you do? Like, it's actually getting a bit more of a grasp of like how they're getting on, how they're enjoying it, and letting them be excited and bringing that joy back into dancing. Because I think sometimes, especially like this time of year now, if dancers are attending some of the majors, it is that pressure starts being put on, the countdowns are starting, the teachers are feeling under pressure, the entries are going in for worlds, like it's go time. That's the time that we really need to be bringing this positive energy from a parent perspective, from a role, not a role model, a guardian's perspective.
Yeah.
Like, we're the person that's supposed to be facilitating this space that's safe, but also keeping the joy. Why do we dance in the first place? We don't just dance to go to the Worlds. We dance because we love it. We don't just dance to win a trophy. Yeah, that's nice, but we dance because we love it, and holding the dancer accountable for that comes from you as a parent.
Yeah, and there will be dance classes where maybe something's happened, something's gone on, or the dancer, might be feeling down or a certain way. And I know especially with maybe teenage dancers or older dancers, they might not want to talk about it straight away, but don't leave them to process it themselves. They might still be processing in their own head, but don't let that go. Don't just because then the next day's happened, feel like they've forgotten about it. Maybe try and ask again, maybe the next day when they've had time to process it. Otherwise, it will just build up and build up and build up, probably till the week before the major, when there's some kind of breakdown or something. Which
we've all been there.
Which, sounds like me completely.
Yeah, sounds like we've all been there. Sounds like we're still learning.
Yeah, so it's important as well to keep that conversation just open. It can be the next day if they're still processing. There will be times where things might have happened, but as long as you prove, on a weekly basis, you're a safe space.
Yeah.
And you're there to advocate for them.
Yeah.
Then that's the more likely to open up.
Yeah. And like we said earlier, if you then feel like I can't get this out of them, but I know there's something, then use our parents' Facebook group, come to us, send us a DM. If we can help facilitate that space as an outsider as well, then let's do it.
Yeah, I literally had an email last night from a parent saying there's something up with my dancer, the dancer I know fairly well, and we can't get it out of them. Have you got any help for us? The teachers tried, the parents have tried, and I was like, oh yeah. She was like, I really, really appreciate. I'm so sorry to email. I was like, please don't apologize for emailing for help. That's why we're here.
Yeah, and that's what our passion is. That's where we thrive, because that's what we want to be for you. We want to be that space where you feel like you can email us and ask us that question. That is what we're trying to build here. So don't ever feel bad for that. And it's interesting, like you say, because I definitely went through a bit of that in terms of I didn't even know what was wrong with me in a way. And I think that was all to do with hormones. My teachers were not happy with me. It was in the run up to the Worlds. I'd won 2 Worlds and I was going into my 3rd World to try to regain my title, regain, same thing. And I genuinely didn't know what was wrong with me. I was just in a bad head place, but there was nothing I could put my finger on. I would go home and just cry for hours. My parents would be asking me what am I crying for. I couldn't tell them because I actually didn't know. And I do think hormones played a part of that. We are going to talk a little bit about podcasts on this periods on this podcast, because I've had a couple of questions more recently about periods, menstruation, all of that sort of journey. Now, I'm not a specialist in it, but I can talk about my experience and I can open up sort of some conversations and the education that I do have on it, and how it impacts your training. Because as we were already just talking about earlier, I'm doing a high rocks tomorrow and I came on yesterday and I already know that I'm not going to be at my peak performance because I'm at that in 2 weeks' time. So can we just pause and do high rocks in 2 weeks, please? When I got rid of this cold as well. But I'm getting excited now because I do think that's going to be a really exciting episode.
That'll be a brilliant episode, that.
Because I think it's a conversation that isn't really had.
We do have one blog on it already. Yeah. But I think the podcast will be really good because you'll be able to answer them specific questions we have had sent in recently.
Yeah. And I do really believe that hormones for me was the thing that was impacting me at that point. When my parents didn't know how to help me. And there wasn't really an answer to it other than what was I going to do? Go and, I don't know. There wasn't an answer. It was just finding what suited to make me feel better, which took a while. So yeah, anyway, I divulged again because I just get too excited and go down a little rabbit hole. But I think we've touched upon all the key things that we wanted to touch upon there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think thank you very much for joining me as always, Annabelle.
Thank you for having me.
If anybody's got any ideas of what they would like us to cover in the podcast, then please do let us know. And of course, subscribe, review, follow, all the things, because that means we reach more people, more Irish dance parents, more Irish dancers, so we can help as many of you guys in our world as possible. Thank you. Have a lovely day, and we will see you
Happy
again.
birthday.
Episode. Thank you. Love.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Meg Talks. Don't forget to share your favourite parts of the episode and tag us on Instagram at @MoveWithMeg with 2 Gs. And as a special treat, head to movewithmeg.co.uk/Fesh Day Warmup to access your free video. See you next time.